Hello and welcome to Design Boss Dialogue, the podcast where bold and ambitious women in interior design come for real conversations to transform and take their businesses to new heights. I am your host, Lisa Marie Elkhadraoui, interior designer and business mentor, here to share my experiences and insights into running an interior design business, as well as empowering you to build the confident, profitable design business you've been dreaming of and truly deserve. In this space, we blend creativity with strategy to help you craft your success and thrive in the world of design. Every episode is packed with unfiltered, no BS conversations, daily inspiration, and actionable business tips to turn your passion into a thriving, cash-rich business. Together, we're redefining what it means to succeed in the interior design industry, one intentional, game-changing decision at a time. So get ready to step up, elevate, and create the design empire you've always envisioned. Welcome back to day 24 of the Christmas Advent Calendar podcast. I'm going to be joined by a powerhouse of a woman today, and someone that has certainly had influence into how we look at AI into our business. Now, a former PR director with 2 decades of brand experience, Fay now helps coaches and course creators write and build their sales funnel. Now, Fay's career started as a journalist on women's lifestyle magazines before moving into PR, and she went on to carve a successful name for herself in the video game and technology PR sector before moving into aviation, where then she worked as Sir Richard Branson's head of global PR for 3 years, cooking up stunts to grab the news headlines. Fay then went on to set up her funnel strategy and copywriting consultancy in early 2022, following a redundancy, and now works alongside coaches, helping to build out their sales funnel and generate leads and sales on autopilot. And today we're going to be diving deep into the topic of using automation and AI to scale your business without losing the human bit that actually makes people want to buy. Welcome, Fay, to today's podcast. It is absolute pleasure to have you with us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Lisa. I am looking forward to this chat a lot.
Oh my gosh, me too, because AI is something that is rapidly taking over all industries. It's certainly something that has hit the design world in a wave of different emotions. And I'm really interested to kind of bring your take on it today, but also how we keep our soul voice through AI as well.
Yeah, do you know what? This year, I think more than any that I've seen in the kind of 5 years that I've been in business, it has scaled even quicker. Like, it has just picked up such pace, such momentum. And I have seen the good, the bad, the ugly with AI. And I think the immediate thing that stands out with the questions that I get asked by so many kind of business owners who are either using it a lot or curious and they want to know more about it is how to best use it to scale your business without losing you and what makes you unique as that business owner. And I'm seeing people do it well, and I'm seeing people do it really badly. And I think that's the really interesting thing that we can pick up on today, because I built my business around automation. And I think most people are familiar with that term. You know, people have probably got, systems in place that they will have lead gen funnels or they'll have sales funnels, and they'll understand how they can set up automations in the back end of their business. And it takes away a lot of the, monotony, the manual tasks, the time draining tasks. So people are quite comfortable with automation and they're like, okay, I can see how that works. AI has kind of sped along and been like, well, I can write all your emails. I can answer your emails. I can pretty much do everything for you, almost to the point in some businesses where it's like, you don't need to be here anymore. And that's the really big kind of tipping point that we're finding ourselves at right now. I've had clients come to me who've said, I've created a course. I want to sell a course. I work with a lot of course creators and educators. And I've looked at what they've created and they haven't created anything. They've got AI to go away and build something. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with using that AI. And I guess I can come on to the productivity point of it. But what they're then going to do, maybe like a few years ago, this would have been fine. Yeah, I've created a course. I'm going to teach people something that I can do, pass on that knowledge and sell that knowledge to them. Now, you might use AI to create that course, but who's to say the customer you're going after isn't just going to go onto AI themselves and go, hey, okay, I need to learn how to do X. Okay, it isn't good enough anymore. And the bit that will save, I guess, businesses and either those that are going to go far with AI and those that are going to fail is when you still have that human element as part of your business. It is so important. If you can marry the two and have the blend, your business will just go, it will just skyrocket, because the AI that you can use in your business, and people are going to be mostly familiar with ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, is where you can use that to fire up your brain and get out all that stuff that's stuck in there that, because you're usually so busy and you've got ideas buzzing around, they often get stuck in your head. The AI can help you, but the human, you still delivering, is going to be what makes the difference. Because if you just try and package up AI and go, here's an idea, this is what something, AI's created this is what I'm going to go and sell and offer, it isn't going to do it justice. It just won't now. Punters, customers are out there, they can go away and find out that information for themselves. And that's the tipping point. So knowing how to kind of go, I'm AI curious, I want to use more AI. What is the best way that I can use it in my business without killing off me and just, killing off my business?
I love that. So what would be the first tip if we wanted to say to, a listener, we're obviously making roads into December now, and we're going to get Christmas Day out of the way in the nicest possible way tomorrow. It's a great day. We're then going into New Year's, and the period between New Year's Eve and January is where we maybe sit down and think about what we want to do with our businesses for next year. And if we've got a listener listening or a woman listening that thinks, okay, well, how can I inject more of my voice but still use AI? What would that look like, Faye?
So where business owners are either doing well or kind of showing signs that AI is just, they're over-reliant on AI, particularly things like outsourcing writing. And that's where most people, I think, listening here will be like, they've dabbled, they've experimented with going, write me some emails, write me a sales page, and doing it in that way. No problem in doing that at all. Like, it will absolutely help you do that. But if you just open up a window on ChatGPT or Claude and type in, this is my offer, write me a sales page, which many people do, like feed it that and then look at what comes out. Some people will sit there and go, okay, yeah, copy paste that into a sales page. But what you've effectively done is outsource everything to AI. The best way to use it, if you've got some time on your hands in this kind of weird Twixmas period that we go into, is to actually flip it. And you actually treat an AI tool. So if you're thinking about writing and you're going, I know I need to polish up my email sequences, or actually it's a good time to go back and look at, my welcome sequence, probably wrote it a while ago. It's a little bit out of date. Like, how can I go in and update it with what's been going on? Okay. So you want to flip the switch when you use AI. You want it to ask you the questions, not you tell it what to do. And it's a different way of using things, but using it where it's going to hear your voice rather than just give you generic, like robot AI sludge. So the best tip for someone to do is to, first of all, like upload it an existing sales page. So say you've got an offer or you've got a welcome sequence. Let's stick with the emails. Put those emails in and you're going to say to it, I want you to analyze all of these emails. So you can see my voice, you can see what I'm writing about. And then you're going to say to it, okay, I need you now to interview me as a copywriter. Okay, I want to polish up this welcome sequence. I need you to get all of the gold out of my brain and I want you to interview me. What do you need to know to write this sequence? And you record that. You use the microphone, the voice note feature. So you're talking to it. Okay, it's a little bit like kind of rewinding to like Mad Men, 1950s, dictating to a secretary, almost treating it like that. And I think that's that's the gold that I've discovered this year. If you're using it as a copywriting tool to do that, and that's generally where most of my clients come at it with, they've used it for writing. So if you do that, it's going to start asking you questions. It's a really different way of using AI. And then you're going to sit there and you're going to give yourself like half an hour to go back and answer the questions one by one. And you're going to record your answers, like we're talking, so you're just going to record that. When you see the output, will just have elevated how you use AI. Because yes, it's helped you with your writing, but it is going to sound like you, not like that first, you typing in, write me an email sequence, and it just writing what it thinks is a standard. And none of us want to be standard or generic, right? No. But that's what it's going to give you. You flip it and you get it to interview you. That's when you're going to get the output that suddenly is on a different level for AI output.
I love that. So with that, should we take that approach with everything we are doing with AI and come at it like, instead of using it as, I think so many people are guilty of using it as a search engine. I certainly am. So you flip it and say, interview me, like in my tone of voice, in order to do this. That's the right approach.
Yeah, always. And I think, nobody, or I certainly haven't seen people talking about that enough. Like, I'm a big advocate of using AI automation in businesses from the point of view that, if you want to scale and you are a lean team, thinking of AI as additional team members. So, being able to go, right, I'm going to need something to help with copy, or I want something to help me with, Facebook ads, or whatever those different disciplines in your business, you can use it in the right way. But yeah, it's about getting it to understand you and you telling it more, because I think, people just, if they're dabbling, if they're AI curious, then they're just like, well, you open up a page, you prompt, everyone's familiar with those words. But unfortunately, when you type, like all of us, we tend to be quite brief if we're typing in a prompt, like write me an email sequence. Or suddenly when we start talking, we're all much more open. So you hit record and you just go for it. You are much more elaborate. So it's much easier to talk than it is to type. And I think that's when you get the gold with AI, because, I'm a firm believer in it can speed up productivity. It doesn't have to kill creativity. And I think that's the crux with it. And I think the bad rap, or where people feel a bit nervous about using it, is because we all see now a lot of very generic AI copy out in the world. Like, it's quite, I'm in it a lot. I see it, but it's very easy to spot the tells, the signs where, if people are using it to outsource their copywriting, you'll see it very quickly, the same patterns, the same way of writing. And that's what's going to make you blend in. So if you flip it and use it where you're recording and suddenly it's going, oh, okay, I've heard that. I'm going to include these phrases because they're things that you say. They're just part of your vocabulary. They're in there. You'll still need to polish up anything it gives you. You should never just copy and paste, but you can go in and edit. Suddenly what you're starting with is kind of like 70% of the way there, rather than you going, oh, this is okay, I've got something, but it's like 25% and you've got a lot more work to do. That's the bit where you're speeding up the productivity in your business to kind of go, well, most people I speak to are like, oh, I don't like writing email newsletters. Like, I never know what to say. And it's like, well, okay, there's tools that can help you. You can use AI in a different way. You can probably get that newsletter written in a few minutes, maybe do a few. And suddenly, like, the tasks that you used to put off because, like they were a time drain, or you'd never know what to say. You always felt a bit, stuffy. You're out there and you're back in front of your audience in their inbox, staying front of mind, not just going, it's on your to-do list and it kind of keeps getting pushed down, which honestly, I think for me in the world I'm in, there's a lot of email marketing. It's people saying, well, I've grown an email list, but I haven't actually sent them anything. Or the only time I ever email them is to sell to them. And suddenly, again, that can feel very pushy. Like it's just a one-way relationship. It's transactional. Totally. And there isn't that sort of value or just relationship building. So AI doesn't have to kill that. You can use it in a much better way to kind of still make you, and people kind of, when I send emails, I use tools I built, to help send those newsletters, but people reply. It's not like they just go off into the ether in someone's inbox. Like, people know I'm very open. Oh, AI helped me write this. It doesn't mean people are like, oh, not going to, engage. It's just, you've used a bot. It doesn't have to be like that.
So obviously, implementing AI correctly in your business to really scale productivity and cut those times down. Where have you seen bad examples of AI use? So obviously listeners listening to this can be like, okay, gosh, I actually am guilty of doing that. I'm going to stop that. Or what have you seen out there?
So there's definitely a few. I mean, I think, like we just said, copy is the easiest one to pick up on because you can see it very quickly on, I'm not just saying emails, social posts. You can see it on sales pages. You can just, there's a formula to it. And that's because it's the way it learns is by seeing the same thing, and it's been built with frameworks. So you can definitely see that if people just outsource and kind of copy paste. So that's the first thing. The second thing, and I've seen it start this year, it's going to become even more prevalent next year, is people using it to kind of go, right, okay, this is what I do in my business. Okay, I want to create some digital products that I can create quickly, I can sell. So they might be courses or, programs, but it doesn't rely on them. It doesn't require them to be present. So they literally outsource their brain and say, right, I need you to write me a course on this. So AI writes it. They probably go away then and just build it. Then they go away and sell it. And, a bit like I said before, there is none of them in that. The businesses that are going to stand out into next year are going to have a hybrid model. AI can absolutely be there to create a course to help you out, outsource that creativity in your brain and be able to actually go, right, I've written something. But it's still going to need you. So those sort of hybrid models where people might say, hey, here's my program. And every week we have a call. You drop in for a hot seat coaching call with me because you can't outsource you, the human, to AI. It can't replace you in the calls. It can't replace you in a quarterly in-person get-together. So it's going to be that hybrid model. And I think those business owners who are just sort of churning out more and more content to sell, that is something that people can just go find out themselves. Business won't work. It's already starting to show that kind of course creation market is dropping in just, generic courses going out. It needs to have that expert flavor. It needs to have that balance of, okay, I can learn and I can be self-paced and I want to do that, but I need that human to be there for calls, for in-person. And when you can blend the two, that's the sweet spot. So, those are the signs, like too much over-reliance on it. Automation is a brilliant thing to have in your business. And, automation is a form of artificial intelligence because, you have a lead magnet, you set that up, someone downloads it, they get emails from you, you signpost them to different offers, maybe depending on how you can segment them in your list, all great. But I always still say to people, whilst those emails are evergreen and people are smart, like they know they're getting automated emails. They know you're not sitting there sending them one, every day after they've got your lead magnet. You can still add personal elements. You can put videos in those emails. The first few could just be like a quick 2-minute video, just welcoming people in. So they see you, they hear you. And I think, I work a lot with coaches, with consultants, people who are selling their time. And I'm always saying, you might not be super comfortable on camera, but 9 times out of 10, people working with you are going to see you like this. So sending a video, adding a video in is brilliant. They're hearing your voice. They're looking in your eyes because that's how they'll work with you. Exactly. And reading about you is great, but suddenly you put a video with that or even an audio file. Audio is really powerful now. And again, we could go down a rabbit hole. You can outsource your voice to AI. I've played around with podcast tools where I put in a topic and suddenly I can hear speakers talking about it. Like in minutes, it can create a podcast. It's quite frightening. Wow. But, you listen and you're like, but it's not me. Like that they're not, that's what people want. They want to hear me talking about
They
that
want your
topic.
Energy.
Exactly. Yeah. And that it can't, there's fake laughter. It's a strange thing. Google have put it in with their LLM notebook model, which, we get quite geeky with AI. It's fun to play with, but at the same time, you're like, it almost makes you sit there and go, this is why I prefer talking to a human doing it, and not just going, let the robots take care of that. Like, no. Yeah.
And I think, it's funny, this came up in conversation at the beginning of December with a mastermind I was at. And we were actually talking about, round the table, passive income and funnels. And I was obviously talking to them about our automation that we're going to, be launching and building. And they said, well, how do you really inject you into it if you're going to obviously scale this big model? And I said, the one thing that I have made an effort in doing is putting video into my video sales pages and a lot of video into my nurture sequences. So people are still getting me, even though that they're not having a personal interaction of a one-to-one video call, but they are getting used to seeing me, talking to them in their inboxes every single day. And I think in 2026, this is going to be really key to implement into your website, your businesses, your socials, video. What do you think about that, Faye?
Yeah, I think it's, you can't underestimate the power of, we all work remotely now, the actual interaction, we're online business owners. So it takes effort to get to be with people now. You have to really commit to go, I'm going to be with people in person. And it's so important. And I think nobody listening would disagree with that. But the next best thing is video, like the closest thing you can get, be it live like this or doing recordings, and hearing a voice, looking at someone's face while they're talking, and, short, sharp. These aren't like long, movie style videos. You're just connecting with people. And on the other side of that, if you are a business owner who runs ads, lead gen ads or sales ads, right now, people will have heard, like, if you kind of run ads or not, Ads Manager has gone through a massive overhaul with Andromeda. So right now, Facebook Ads Manager is all about video content. So if you are looking to, try and automate your lead gen, your sales, and using ads to do that, which is a brilliant way to kind of like fuel your funnel, video is really crucial. That's what's stopping people scrolling when they're on Instagram or they're on Facebook, So if you are getting comfortable on video, and again, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to just be talking to camera. Some people find that really difficult. B-roll video is also really important. Showing you, at your desk, a 10, 15-second rolling video of little snips with, just captions over the top. But it's still showing you, like people are looking at you, and not the AI version. I think people are kind of quite put off by AI generated images and videos. It's quite easy
people.
To spot. I think people can see that, and they're getting better. Like, I've played around with them, but if you have been a brand, and a lot of people invest in brand photography, it's a really important part of your business. Suddenly when you just sort of go, oh, here's some new photos of me, and you look a bit thinner in the face, or your hair, I'm sure all of us
your hairstyle's changed.
But people can people just know. And I'm not talking like six fingers, it's not the sort of obvious dreadful things, but people can see. And and this isn't sort of throwing shade on people who want to do it. If budget doesn't allow for photo shoots, I get it. But honestly, I think that authenticity in your business, and, most of us have iPhones, really good Android phones, in this case, if you can't have a photographer, you can go away and get some great photos on a phone.
Absolutely.
Using your phone to shoot videos. You're not talking uber over-polished studios. And I think the more people can get used to being comfortable doing that organically with ads in their email, it is just that authentic piece where then the AI that supports your business is here doing its thing, but you are still like up here, like you've still got yourself, the thing that people are connecting with and going, I want to work with them. That's the energy that I'm getting. They're the people I want to work with, and this is just supporting you. The AI is just here to kind of go, this is always on. It's giving you breathing space to be with your clients, but it's here helping you. But actually, you are still front and center, like the key part of your business.
Yeah, I love that. Now, you brought out products earlier on in the year and products that we've implemented into our business. I want to talk about, let's bring Mimi and Lola and Opal onto the podcast, because they are three women that have just worked wonders in our business, as well as many other women's businesses. Introduce these women into the fold.
So Opal, Lola and Mimi are kind of like my AI soul sisters. It's no secret. I've been a big tech geek all my life. I spent a lot of time working in the video game sector before my career went off in different paths and brought me back here. So I've always been curious about what's going on. And I think that's probably an important thing to say for people listening. Like, always be curious about what AI is out there. Don't dismiss stuff. When you hear people jump on the bandwagon of, oh, it's bad, it's evil. Don't do that. Like, take a step back and look, because there's usually always a way it can help your business. But I'll get off my soapbox. The ladies are there because I needed a solution. Clients would come to me, leads would come to me, and it would be usually, I'm really struggling with lead gen. Like, I just don't know what kind of lead magnet to create. My ideal clients changed. So that was always the first thing. So we would solve that together. The second problem was always around, I hate writing emails. Like, I just don't like it. I sound really formal. I'm really boring. And as I said, I hate newsletters. They were the next few things that came. And then Opal, I'll come on to her because I found a gap with her. So we'll talk about Lola and Mimi first. So Lola is a lead magnet AI coach. So she's a free tool that people can download. She's a custom GPT. So she just uploads into a Chat GPT account. You can have a free one or a paid one. It doesn't matter. She'll work with both. And a bit like I said at the start, she interviews you. So she's going to find out all about, well, who are your dream clients? Like, what keeps them up at night? What are they looking for? Do they know what they're looking for? Like, tell me about their life. So she's going to interview you and you're going to record all those lovely voice notes. Then she's going to go off and go, so what's your offer? Like, what do you actually sell? And she's going to take the two, marry them together and come up with some ideas for lead magnets and just give you a list of things that you could go away and create. She's not clever enough to build them fully. She can certainly make a start. But then if you need to go away and kind of go, right, I'm going to write, design that in a Canva doc or record a video, she will give you ideas. And these aren't just generic, create a checklist on a PDF. If she's like, you need to record a 3-part mini series, this is going to be great for you. She'll give you those ideas. So she's one. And then Mimi is sort of her big sister. She's the email copywriter. So she's the one who they both the feedback I get blows me away with both of them, because they've really fixed that problem that people were having. And I think they've really made people kind of realize that, like we've said all through this, that AI is not evil. It doesn't just have to sound generic. It can really take your voice and amplify it. So she is built on all of the copywriting frameworks I use. So if somebody says, last month, November is Black Friday, so I had a number of clients who were like, right, she'll write you a sales campaign. You just need to feed her with what it is you're running, like what the offer is. She'll go away, write those emails for you. She'll schedule them all so you know what day you're sending them. If you're going to send, a couple on one day, if you're going to send some to warmer leads who've clicked a sales page link, she can write extra emails, and that's what she does. She goes away and takes the stress that you have around going, oh God, I just don't know what to put out there. If you write a newsletter or you want to write a newsletter, you sit down with her once a week, once a fortnight, and literally download. This is what I've been up to the past week, things that have happened, clients that I've had calls with. She's going to ask you, so what have you posted on social this week? Okay, so how did the last meeting? Stuff you have got in your head that you wouldn't think to actually bring out and share. And she's going to write that in a storytelling framework. So you're like, now I've got a great newsletter I can go out that's going to resonate with my audience. So, that's how people use her. And Opal is kind of like the third sister. She is there to write opt-in pages, because generally when people have got a lead magnet, they're like, okay, great, got a brilliant idea. I've got the emails. It's like, how do I get people to actually download the thing? So you want them up to that landing page. You just want enough copy, because either I see people who don't write anything or they write too much and people are bound. Her job, keep people on the page, get them going, I need this. I need to download this today, now. Okay, take your details. So the three work together, like as a dream team, if you're thinking through lead gen, email campaigns. And they're just a joy. Like, the comments I get are just people having fun using them. And I think that's always been the motive. There's lots buzzing around in my head for next year, like new ones I can build to join the kind of fold. But that's been the big thing. They're like, okay, great. Like, it has taken like a load of work off my plate, but actually it's made it enjoyable. Like, the stuff was in there. I just didn't know how to get it out. And that's that speeding up the productivity, like elevating the creativity.
And I think also, if you are feeding your voice into the machine and being interviewed, and you have an AI product that is then taking that and really harnessing your energy and your voice, you are going to produce a piece of copy that is going to completely 100% sound like you. Might need tweak, like you say, has to have a little bit of a polish, but it speeds up that process of you starting from scratch, thinking, right, okay, God, I've got a lead magnet. Now I've got to write the opt-in page. Right, that's going to take a week. Right, now I've got to think about the nurture sequence, an email in the morning, email in the evening, 7 days. Right, okay, got to block all this time out in my diary. And actually you feed it in, and within a day, you've got the whole thing done.
Exactly. And I think it's always been about, people are their own bottleneck. 9 times out of 10, I think the clients I work with, it's because it's time. It's just they're putting blockers in place that don't need to be there. And I think once you can, always better done than perfect. We all want perfection, of course. But if we did, we wouldn't be getting anywhere. You've got to test, you've got to learn. And that, again, is the beauty of, AI and automation. You're testing all the time. Do things work? If they don't, they're not a failure. You've just learned that didn't quite work as I wanted.
We tweak it, we refine it.
Yeah, something else. And, the feedback you get, through open rates, if you're looking at emails, click-through rates, did that work? You've got data that you can then at least attribute to it. Are they downloading a lead magnet? Okay, did that page work? Okay. Yeah, okay, that one was great. So I'm going to do something similar, create a new lead magnet. And suddenly you're on more of a roll than you were before when you were still in your own head, just kind of stuck again because, you're busy with one-to-one clients or group program, you're doing the work, but actually your pipeline and thinking about what's coming once the busy period is gone, if you're not always just keeping your eye here, and suddenly this is, done and we're really dry spell. So that's where the AI and automation can it's always on. That's the part. It's always on. It's always ticking over for you to allow you to kind of shine and just spend the time doing the stuff that, let's be honest, probably lights you up on the, the tasks that don't,
Yeah. It's those admin tasks that every business owner, and look, we have to get good at doing certain admin tasks to really know how to accelerate them or move them on to someone else in the company. But I think the beauty of AI is really being able to do those faster, save costs, keep the business lean in areas, and lean into the technology, lean into what's there to scale your business, give you back time. Give you back time is a big one, isn't it?
Always. I think you made a good point there. I think it's always to have that curiosity and how to sort of understand how those things work in your business is key. Because even if you come to the point that you do, you grow a team, to know that you've been in the trenches and you've done it and you understand the process, you can't really replace that knowledge because, not in a micromanagement sense, but to be aware of the things that worked, didn't work, so that as you're going off and you're kind of, everything is scaling, you just know the engine that you're building is running well. That can't be, I think, ever underestimated, to know that. And I think that I teach, a lot of fairly new business owners, around lead gen and sort of how to understand it, because it's you could outsource this, you could get someone to build it for you. But if you know and understand, now you've had it taught to you, you can go run. You can go away and go, I'm going to create more lead magnets. I'm going to go and create more, because you've got the process, the system. And then once that's rocking, the sky's the limit. And that's the beauty of it.
I love that. So before we wrap up today's podcast with all of those nuggets of information, I think so many women are actually going to take, and men are going to take so much away from this going into 2026. But what would you really like to leave the listeners with? What's the final tip or value going into 2026?
To be bold. Honestly, when you are thinking about scaling your business and looking at automation and looking at AI, and most people feel quite nervous around how can I do it? It is that be bold. You don't have to build complicated systems, but to know that you are going to trust the process and create an engine for your business that will get you out, stop you being the bottleneck so that you can go on. You can do the really good work. You can go on and support clients one-to-one or in groups, and you're not stuck down here. Just do it don't be afraid of doing it. If it's been something that's been sitting on your list for ages to think, I just need to get better at automating like the processes. I'm still here doing this. It's very like, go. Just, you will not, the investment you make will not be wasted. Like it is just something that will pay you back in time, in money, in enjoyment in your business. So yeah, to go do it.
Be bolder. I love that. That's amazing. And for everyone that's listening, if you want to explore Lola, Mimi, or Opal, then we're going to have all of their links in the show notes. So please head to the show notes, download those products, and really look at how you can implement them into your business in 2026. I know from having them in our business, it's saved time and money endlessly, which is amazing. So I can be an advocate for that and say they are excellent AI software tools. Fay, it's been a pleasure to have you on today's podcast.
Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed it. I wish you and everybody listening a very Merry Christmas.
Yes, and I hope you've made it onto the good list for tomorrow's big day. Hopefully we get presents under the tree. Thank you so much, Fay. It's been amazing.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
you.
And I will be back tomorrow on Christmas Day for another powerful message and another powerful podcast. Take care. Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Design Boss Dialogue. If you love what you heard, then please share the podcast with your friends and any women that could do with a dose of empowerment just from me. I would love to hear your thoughts around today's podcast with your key takeaways and wins, because your feedback means everything to me. Also, don't forget to leave a review as well as hit that follow button so you never miss out on any inspiring conversations with me or any other trailblazing women I have on. Stay tuned for more exciting episodes, and remember, unleashing your inner design power and unlocking your true potential is only a click away. See you next time.